When a nurse tells world richest man Elon Musk his dying mother has one final wish, it seems like a simple deathbed request. But when he opens the sealed envelope and reads what she wants, he makes a decision that surprises everyone, including himself. The story begins in the critical care unit of Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in Los Angeles, where Patricia Mendez stands outside room 7142, her hands trembling as she holds her phone. Patricia Mendez had been a nurse for 18 years. She had delivered bad news to hundreds of families. She had held the hands of dying patients and whispered comfort in their final moments. But she had never been this nervous. Inside the room, connected to beeping machines and IV lines, lay Elon Musk, the famous 75-year-old model, dietitian, and mother of the world's richest man. 3 days ago, on October 12, 2023, May had suffered a devastating stroke. The doctors said she was lucky to be alive, but lucky felt like the wrong word when half her face was paralyzed and she could barely speak. Patricia looked down at her phone. The number was already entered. All she had to do was press the green call button. Her finger hovered over the screen. In her scrub pocket was a sealed white envelope. May had pressed it into Patricia's hand that morning with her one working hand, her eyes desperate and pleading. Inside that envelope was May's final wish, words written in shaky handwriting while fighting through unbearable pain. "Promise me," May had whispered, each word a struggle. "Give this to my son. Don't open it. He needs to read it himself." Patricia had promised. She always kept her promises to patients, even the impossible ones. Now she was about to call Elon Musk, the man who built Tesla and SpaceX, the man trying to colonize Mars, the man worth over $200 billion, the man who was so busy changing the future of humanity that he didn't know his mother was dying. Patricia took a deep breath and pressed call. The phone rang once, twice, 3 times. Then someone answered. And a chain of events began that would send the world's most powerful entrepreneur on a desperate race across continents, force him to confront a promise he made 34 years ago, and reveal that his mother's dying wish had nothing to do with money, rockets, or fame. It had everything to do with remembering who he was before he became Elon Musk. And his response would be beautifully, impossibly, unexpectedly perfect. Patricia Mendez's hand shook as she stood outside room 7142. She had been a nurse at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in Los Angeles for 18 years. She had seen thousands of patients. She had held the hands of people taking their last breaths. She had delivered terrible news to families, but she had never been this nervous. Inside the room, connected to beeping machines and IV lines, lay Elon Musk, the famous model, the mother of the world's richest man. 3 days ago, on October 12, 2023, May had suffered a massive stroke. The doctors said she was lucky to be alive. Patricia looked at her phone. The number was already typed in. All she had to do was press the green button. Her finger hovered over the screen. "You can do this," she whispered to herself. That morning, May had woken up briefly. Her face was partially paralyzed. Her left arm wouldn't move, but her right hand had grabbed Patricia's wrist with surprising strength. "Please." May's voice was barely a whisper. The stroke had damaged the part of her brain that controlled speech. Every word was a struggle. "Tell my son, one wish, before it's too late." Patricia had leaned closer. "Mrs. Musk, save your energy. Mr. Musk will be here soon." But May shook her head desperately. Tears rolled down her cheeks. With her right hand, she pointed to the bedside table. There was an envelope there. A simple white envelope with shaky handwriting on the front. "Give him this when the time is right." Patricia had picked up the envelope. It was sealed, heavy, like it contained something more than just paper. "What is it?" Patricia had asked gently. May's eyes had locked onto hers. "My one wish, promise you won't open it, promise you'll know when." Patricia had promised. She always kept her promises to patients, even the impossible ones. Now 6 hours later, Patricia stood in the hallway. The envelope was in her scrub pocket, and she was about to call Elon Musk. She had Googled him during her lunch break. Elon Musk, CEO of Tesla, CEO of SpaceX, owner of X, the website formerly called Twitter, the man trying to put humans on Mars, the man building brain implants and underground tunnels. One website said he was worth over $200 billion. How do you call someone like that? What do you even say? Patricia took a deep breath. She thought about her own mother who had died 5 years ago from cancer. Patricia had been working a double shift at the hospital when her mother passed. She never got to say goodbye. She never got to hear her mother's last words. She wouldn't let that happen to Elon Musk. No matter how rich or famous he was still a son. And his mother was dying. Patricia pressed the green button. The phone rang once. Her heart pounded in her chest. It rang twice. She almost hung up. What if he thought she was a crazy person? What if he didn't believe her? It rang 3 times, then someone answered. Hello? The voice was sharp, impatient, like someone who didn't have time for phone calls. Patricia's throat felt dry. Is this Elon Musk? Who is this? How did you get this number? My name is Patricia Mendez. I'm a nurse at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in Los Angeles. I'm calling about your mother, May Musk. There was a pause, a long pause. Patricia could hear breathing on the other end. What happened? The voice was different now, scared, human. Mr. Musk, your mother is in our critical care unit. She suffered a stroke 3 days ago. She's stable right now, but... 3 days ago, the voice cracked. Why wasn't I called 3 days ago? Patricia checked the chart. Sir, it says here that your mother specifically requested we not contact you until today. She said you were dealing with something important. She heard what sounded like a chair scraping against a floor. Where are you? What room? 7th floor ICU, room 7142. But Mr. Musk, there's something else. Your mother has a message for you. She was very clear about it. She said she has one wish. Another long silence. I'll be there in 2 hours, Elon Musk said. Don't let anything happen to her. I don't care what it costs. Get her the best doctors, the best equipment, whatever she needs. Sir, she already has the best care we can provide. Dr. James Chen is one of the top neurologists in the country. 2 hours, he repeated. Then the line went dead. Patricia lowered her phone. Her hands were still shaking. She looked through the window of room 7142. May was sleeping now, her chest rising and falling with each breath. The machines beeped steadily. Patricia touched the envelope in her pocket. What wish could be so important that a dying woman used her last bit of strength to write it down? And what would the world's most powerful man do when he read it? The clock on the wall read 4:47 p.m. In 2 hours, everything would change. Patricia walked back to the nurse's station and sat down. She needed to prepare herself for Elon Musk's arrival. She needed to understand who May Musk really was, not the famous model from magazine covers, the real woman, the mother. She opened May's medical file on the computer, but beside the keyboard sat a clear plastic bag. It contained May's personal belongings from when the ambulance brought her in 3 days ago. A purse, a phone, a wallet, and a small photo album. Patricia knew she shouldn't look. These were private things, but something told her she needed to understand. The envelope in her pocket felt heavy, important. She pulled out the photo album. It was old. The leather cover was cracked and faded. She opened it carefully. The first photo made her gasp. It showed a young woman, maybe 25 years old, with 3 small children. The woman was beautiful but tired. She wore a simple dress. Behind them was a tiny apartment. The photo was labeled in pen, Toronto, 1995. Patricia flipped through more pages. Each photo told a story. There was May in South Africa standing outside a nutrition clinic. She wore a white coat. Her name tag read dietitian. In the corner of the photo, a young boy sat reading a thick book about computers. Someone had written on the back, Elon, age 12, always reading. Another photo showed May at a modeling shoot, but this one was different. She looked exhausted. The makeup couldn't hide the dark circles under her eyes. The date on the back said, 1989, worked 3 jobs this week. Patricia's heart ached. This wasn't the glamorous life people imagined. She turned another page. There was a picture of 3 children standing outside a small house in Pretoria, South Africa. The oldest boy had messy hair and wore glasses that were too big for his face. He was maybe 10 years old. He looked serious, like he was thinking about things too big for a child's mind. The handwriting beneath said, Elon, Kimball, and Tosca, our home in Durban, the year before everything changed. Patricia knew from celebrity magazines that May had divorced her husband, that she had been a single mother, but she didn't know the full story. She kept looking through the photos. May at a science fair standing proud beside young Elon and his project about solar panels. May at a grocery store counting coins carefully. May falling asleep at a kitchen table, textbooks spread around her. She was studying while raising 3 children alone. Then Patricia found something that made her stop breathing. It was a letter, handwritten, old. The paper was yellow with age. It was dated April 3, 1989, and it was written in a child's messy handwriting. Dear Mom, I know things are hard. I know Dad hurt you. I know we don't have much money, but I promise you something. When I grow up, I'm going to make sure you never have to worry again. I'm going to build amazing things. I'm going to change the world. And you'll never have to work 3 jobs again. I love you, Elon. Patricia wiped her eyes. She was crying. This was a promise from a 10-year-old boy to his struggling mother, and that boy had kept his promise. He had changed the world, but at what cost? The door to room 7142 opened. Dr. James Chen stepped out. He was a short man with gray hair and kind eyes. He had been May's doctor since she arrived. Patricia, are you all right? He asked. She quickly closed the photo album. Yes, Dr. Chen, I just called her son. Elon Musk. He'll be here in about 90 minutes now. Dr. Chen nodded slowly. Good, that's good. She's been asking for him, well, trying to ask. The stroke damaged her speech center badly. What's her prognosis? Patricia asked. Dr. Chen sat down beside her. His face was serious. Honestly, it's hard to say. The stroke was severe. It affected her left side mobility and her ability to speak. But May is strong, incredibly strong. She's fighting harder than any patient I've seen in 30 years. Will she recover? Patricia needed to know. She might regain some function, with therapy maybe 60 to 70%, but her speech, he paused. She may never speak clearly again, and there's something else. We need to do surgery tomorrow morning. There's pressure building in her brain. If we don't relieve it, she could have another stroke, a fatal one. Patricia felt the weight of those words. Does she know? She knows. That's why she's so desperate to see her son. That's why she wrote that letter this morning. Dr. Chen looked at Patricia carefully. She showed me the envelope. She wouldn't tell me what was inside. She said it was between her and Elon. But whatever it is, it's important enough that she stayed conscious through incredible pain just to write it. Patricia touched her pocket again. The envelope was still there. Dr. Chen stood up. When Elon arrives, bring him straight to me first. I need to explain her condition before he sees her. Seeing your mother like that, it's shocking, even for a man who builds rockets. He walked away, leaving Patricia alone with her thoughts. She looked at the clock. 1 hour and 23 minutes until Elon arrived. She opened the photo album again. The last page had one final picture. It was recent, maybe from last year. May stood on a red carpet at some fancy event. She wore a stunning silver dress. Her white hair was styled perfectly. She looked like a queen, but she was alone in the photo. Patricia understood now. May had everything: fame, beauty, successful children. But she was still the same woman who had counted coins at the grocery store. The same woman who had worked 3 jobs. The same woman who had raised 3 children by herself. And now she was lying in a hospital bed, possibly dying, with one final wish for her son. Patricia closed the album. She looked at her own reflection in the dark computer screen. She thought about her own mother, about goodbyes that came too late, about words left unspoken. She made a silent promise to May Musk. Whatever that wish was, she would make sure Elon heard it. She would make sure he understood. The elevator dinged at the end of the hall. Patricia's heart jumped. But it was just another visitor for a different patient. Not yet, but soon. In 1 hour and 15 minutes, the world's most powerful man would walk through those doors, and nothing would ever be the same. Patricia stood at the nurse's station, her eyes fixed on the elevator doors. It was 6:42 p.m. 5 minutes until Elon was supposed to arrive. The entire 7th floor felt different. Word had spread quickly through the hospital. Elon Musk was coming. Security guards had been stationed at the elevator. The hospital director had come up personally to make sure everything was ready. Other nurses kept walking by, pretending to check charts, hoping to catch a glimpse. Patricia wanted to tell them all to leave. This wasn't a celebrity visit. This was a son coming to see his dying mother. At 6:45 p.m., her phone buzzed. A text from hospital security downstairs. He's here, coming up now. Patricia's stomach tightened. She smoothed down her scrubs and walked toward the elevator. Dr. Chen appeared beside her. Ready? He asked quietly. No, Patricia answered honestly. The elevator doors opened at exactly 6:47 p.m. Elon Musk stepped out first. Patricia recognized him immediately from the photos online, but he looked different in person. He wore dark jeans and a plain black t-shirt. His hair was messy, like he'd been running his hands through it. His eyes were red and swollen. He looked like he'd been crying. Behind him came two other people, a man who looked like a younger version of Elon that had to be Kimball, his brother, and a woman with kind eyes and worry written all over her face, Tosca, his sister. All three of them looked terrified. Elon saw Patricia and walked straight to her. "You're the nurse who called?" "Yes, sir, Patricia Mendez." "Where is she?" His voice was rough, desperate. Dr. Chen stepped forward. "Mr. Musk, I'm Dr. James Chen, your mother's neurologist. Before you see her, I need to explain." "I don't need an explanation, I need to see my mother." Elon's voice was sharp, but Patricia could hear the fear underneath. Dr. Chen didn't back down. "Sir, your mother has been through severe trauma. She may look different than you remember. She can't speak clearly. Her left side is partially paralyzed. I need you to be prepared." Elon stopped, his shoulders sagged. "How bad is it?" "The stroke was severe. We have her stabilized, but we need to perform surgery tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. There's pressure building in her brain. Without the surgery." Dr. Chen's voice trailed off. Kimball put his hand on Elon's shoulder. "What are her chances with the surgery?" 70% survival rate. But even if she survives, she may never fully recover her speech or mobility. Tosca covered her mouth with her hand. Tears filled her eyes. Elon just stared at Dr. Chen. "And without the surgery, she'll have another stroke within 48 hours. It will be fatal." The hallway went silent. Even the machines in nearby rooms seemed to quiet down. Elon's jaw clenched. "Then do the surgery. Get the best surgical team. I don't care what it costs." "We already have the best, sir. Dr. Rebecca Santos is one of the finest neurosurgeons in the world. She's done thousands of these procedures." Elon nodded, then he looked at Patricia. "Can I see her now, please?" Patricia's heart broke at that word, please. The richest man in the world was saying please. "Of course, follow me." She led them down the hallway to room 7142. The security guard at the door stepped aside. Patricia pushed the door open slowly. The room was quiet except for the steady beep of heart monitors. Soft evening light came through the window, painting everything in orange and gold. May Musk lay in the hospital bed. Her white hair was spread across the pillow. An oxygen tube ran under her nose. IV lines connected to both arms. Her eyes were closed. Elon stopped in the doorway. Patricia saw his face change, saw the shock, the pain. This powerful man who launched rockets into space suddenly looked like a lost child. "Mom," his voice cracked. He walked slowly to the bed like he was afraid he might break something. Kimball and Tosca stayed back, giving him space. Elon sat in the chair beside the bed. With a shaking hand, he reached out and touched May's hand. "Mom, it's me. It's Elon. I'm here." May's eyes fluttered open. For a moment, she seemed confused. Then her eyes focused on her son's face. Tears immediately streamed down her cheeks. "Mom, don't cry. Please don't cry." Elon was crying too now. "I'm sorry I didn't come sooner. I'm so sorry." May's mouth moved. She was trying to speak, but the words wouldn't come. Only broken sounds. Her frustration was visible. Her right hand squeezed Elon's hand hard. "SHH, it's okay. Don't try to talk, Mom. Save your strength. The doctors say you need surgery tomorrow, but you're going to be fine. You're going to be fine." But May shook her head. She became agitated. Her right hand pulled away from Elon's and pointed toward the bedside table, then at Patricia. She was trying to say something, trying desperately to communicate. Elon looked confused. "What is it, Mom? What do you need?" May kept pointing. Her face showed panic, fear. Like time was running out, Patricia understood. She reached into her pocket and pulled out the envelope. "Mr. Musk, your mother gave this to me this morning," she said. Suddenly, the monitors started beeping loudly. May's blood pressure spiked on the screen. Her heart rate jumped from 70 beats per minute to 130. Dr. Chen rushed into the room. "What's happening?" May's whole body tensed. Her eyes rolled back slightly. "Everyone out now," Dr. Chen shouted. 2 more nurses ran in with emergency equipment. Elon stood up, still holding his mother's hand. "No, I just got here." "Mr. Musk, please, we need space to work." Dr. Chen was already checking May's vitals. Patricia grabbed Elon's arm gently. "Come on, let them help her." Kimball and Tosca pulled their brother toward the door. Elon resisted, his eyes locked on his mother. "Mom, Mom, I'm not leaving you." But the nurses were already surrounding the bed. Patricia pulled harder. "Mr. Musk, if you want to help her, you need to let them work." Finally, Elon let himself be pulled into the hallway. The door closed behind them. Through the window, they could see Dr. Chen and his team working on May, adjusting medications, checking monitors, moving with practiced efficiency. Elon stood frozen, his face pressed against the glass. His hands were shaking. He still held the envelope Patricia had given him. Kimball and Tosca stood on either side of him, crying silently, and Patricia stood back, watching a family fall apart. Inside the room, May's eyes found the window, found her son. Even through the chaos, even through the medical emergency, her eyes were trying to tell him something. The envelope in Elon's hand felt like it weighed 1,000 pounds. What wish could cause this much urgency? What message could be so important that a dying woman would risk everything to deliver it? The monitors beeped, the doctors worked, and time kept moving forward, whether anyone was ready or not. Patricia led the Musk family to a small consultation room down the hall. It was 9:23 p.m. now. Nearly 3 hours had passed since Elon arrived. 3 hours of doctors rushing in and out. 3 hours of waiting, 3 hours of fear. The room was plain, beige walls, a small table, 4 chairs, a box of tissues on the counter. Patricia had sat in this room with hundreds of families. She had delivered good news and bad news. She had held hands and wiped tears. But she had never felt tension like this. Elon sat in one chair, staring at nothing. The envelope lay on the table in front of him. He hadn't opened it, hadn't even touched it since they left May's room. Kimball paced back and forth. He was shorter than Elon with a warmer face. He looked like someone who smiled a lot, but he wasn't smiling now. Tosca sat with her arms wrapped around herself. She was the youngest, the only daughter. Her eyes were puffy from crying. Patricia brought them coffee from the nurse's lounge. Nobody touched it. Finally, Kimball stopped pacing. He sat down across from Elon. "She's going to be okay. Mom's tough. She's always been tough." Elon didn't respond. "Remember when we lived in that tiny apartment in Toronto?" Kimball continued. His voice was soft, like he was talking to himself. "We had nothing, absolutely nothing. But Mom worked 3 jobs. 3 jobs, Elon. She'd leave before we woke up and come home after midnight." Tosca nodded. She never complained, not once. Even when we ran out of food, she'd say we were fasting for fun. A tiny smile flickered across Kimball's face. She'd come home exhausted, barely able to stand, but she'd still check our homework, still ask about our day, still make sure we felt loved. Elon's jaw clenched. He finally spoke. "I remember. She worked so we could have computers," Kimball said. "You were obsessed with programming. You needed a computer. So Mom took an extra job at a grocery store. She worked weekends for 6 months to buy you that Commodore VIC-20. "I know," Elon's voice was barely a whisper. "Do you?" Kimball leaned forward. "Do you really? Because I don't think you understand what she sacrificed for us, for you." Elon's head snapped up. "What's that supposed to mean?" "It means you've been so busy changing the world that you forgot about the woman who made you believe you could change it in the first place." The words hung in the air like smoke. Tosca touched Kimball's arm. "That's not fair." "Isn't it?" Kimball stood up again. "When's the last time you called her, Elon? When's the last time you had a real conversation with her? Not a 5-minute phone call between meetings. A real conversation." Elon's face went red. "I've been busy. Tesla is producing 500,000 cars. SpaceX is launching." "I don't care about Tesla or SpaceX right now." Kimball's voice rose. "Our mother is in there fighting for her life, and you can't even remember the last time you called her." 2 weeks, Elon said quietly. "It's been 2 weeks since I called her." The room went silent. Elon put his face in his hands. "I was supposed to call her last Sunday. I had it on my calendar. But there was a production issue at the Fremont factory. Then a Starship test got delayed. Then something with X, the platform was down for 3 hours. I kept saying I'd call her later, tomorrow, soon." His voice broke, "But I never did." Tosca got up and hugged her brother. She knows you love her. She's always known that. Does she? Elon pulled away. I bought her a house, a big, beautiful house in Bel Air. 5 bedrooms, ocean view, staff to help her. I thought that's what she wanted. I thought I was taking care of her. You were, Tosca said gently. No, Elon shook his head. I was paying people to do what I should have been doing myself. I was throwing money at the problem instead of actually being there. Kimball sat back down. His anger had faded. Now he just looked sad. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that. You've done amazing things for Mom, for all of us. Elon looked at the envelope on the table. She has one wish. That's what the nurse said. One wish. And I don't even know what it is because I was too busy to notice she was unhappy. She's not unhappy, Tosca said. She's proud of you. She tells everyone about you, about all of us. Then why does she have a wish? Elon picked up the envelope. His hands shook. Why does this feel like a goodbye? Nobody had an answer. Patricia, who had been standing quietly by the door, finally spoke. Mr. Musk, if I may, your mother didn't seem unhappy when she gave me that envelope. She seemed determined. There's a difference. Elon looked at her. What do you mean? I've been a nurse for 18 years. I've seen a lot of people face death. Some are angry, some are sad, some are scared. Your mother wasn't any of those things. She was focused, like she had something important to do before she left. Left, the word hit Elon like a punch. She's not leaving. The surgery tomorrow, Dr. Chen said 70% survival rate. That's good odds. Patricia chose her words carefully. It is good, but your mother is preparing for all possibilities. That's why the wish is so important. Elon stared at the envelope. His name was written on the front in his mother's shaky handwriting. The letters were uneven, difficult to read. She must have been in terrible pain when she wrote it. He touched the envelope, then pulled his hand back like it burned him. I don't want to open it, he admitted. Opening it makes it real. It means she might actually, might not. He couldn't finish the sentence. Kimball reached across the table and put his hand on Elon's. Do you remember what Mom used to say, back in Pretoria when things were really bad? Tosca smiled through her tears. She'd say, we're Musks, we don't run from hard things. We face them, Kimball continued. And we don't face them alone, Elon finished. It was something their mother had said 1,000 times during their childhood. The 3 siblings sat together in silence, united by fear, united by love, united by the woman who had raised them to believe they could do anything. Finally, Elon picked up the envelope. He turned it over in his hands. The seal was still intact. Should I open it now? He asked his brother and sister. Tosca wiped her eyes. Maybe wait until you can read it to her, when she's awake, when she's through the surgery. Elon nodded. That made sense. He would wait, he would be patient, but his fingers kept tracing the outline of his name on the envelope. A knock on the door made everyone jump. Dr. Chen stepped inside. His expression was calm but serious. She stabilized. We got her blood pressure down. She's resting now. Everyone exhaled in relief. But, Dr. Chen continued, the episode confirmed what we suspected. The pressure in her brain is increasing faster than we anticipated. We need to move the surgery up. Instead of 7 a.m. tomorrow, we're doing it at 6 a.m. That's in, Elon checked his watch, 8 hours. Yes, I suggest you all try to rest. There's a family waiting room with couches, or I can arrange hotel rooms nearby. I'm not leaving, Elon said immediately. Neither are we, Kimball and Tosca said together. Dr. Chen nodded. He had expected that answer. You can see her briefly before the surgery, around 5:30 a.m. Say what you need to say just in case. Just in case. Those 2 words echoed in the room long after Dr. Chen left. Elon looked at the envelope again, then at his watch, then at his siblings. I need to make a phone call, he said suddenly. I'll be back. He walked out of the room, envelope in hand. Patricia watched him go. She saw him walk to the end of the hallway to a window that overlooked the city lights of Los Angeles. She saw him pull out his phone, and then she saw his face change as he opened the envelope and read what was inside. Even from this distance, she could see the color drain from his face. She could see his hand start to shake. She could see him grab the windowsill for support. Whatever was in that letter, it had shaken the unshakable Elon Musk to his core. Patricia wanted to go to him to ask if he was okay, but something told her to wait. This was a private moment, a moment between a son and his mother's words. After several long minutes, Elon pulled out his phone and made a call, then another, then another. Patricia glanced at the clock. It was almost midnight. In 6 hours, May would go into surgery. In 6 hours, they would know if she would survive. But right now, in this moment, something else was happening. Something that started with a mother's wish written in shaky handwriting. Something that would change everything. Patricia found Elon 2 hours later. It was 2:34 a.m. on October 18th. She had finished checking on other patients and was making her rounds when she noticed the light on in the hospital chapel. The chapel was small, just 12 wooden benches, a simple cross on the wall, and soft lighting. It was supposed to be a place of peace. When Patricia opened the door, she heard quiet crying. Elon sat in the front row, hunched over. The letter was in his lap. His phone lay beside him, dark and silent. His shoulders shook with silent sobs. Patricia had seen many people cry in this chapel, but seeing this man, this powerful, confident man who built rockets and changed industries, completely broken, it hurt her heart. She almost turned around. This felt too private, but something made her stay. "Mr. Musk," she said softly. "Are you all right?" Elon looked up. His eyes were red and swollen. Tears streaked his face. He didn't try to hide them or wipe them away. "No," he said simply, "I'm not all right." Patricia sat down on the bench beside him, not too close, just close enough to let him know he wasn't alone. "Do you want to talk about it?" she asked. Elon laughed, but it was a bitter sound. "My mother's wish, I thought. I don't know what I thought. Maybe that she wanted to see the northern lights again, or visit some place she'd always dreamed of. Something I could buy, something I could arrange." He held up the letter. His hand shook. "But it's not that. It's something I don't know if I can do." Patricia waited. She had learned in 18 years of nursing that sometimes people just needed silence to fill. Elon took a shaky breath. "There's someone from our past, someone I haven't thought about in over 20 years, someone who lived in Pretoria, South Africa." "Who?" Patricia asked gently. "Her name was Hendrika van der Merwe. She ran a community center in our neighborhood when I was young, He paused, struggling with the memory. "When I was different, awkward, bullied, strange." Patricia saw pain flash across his face. "The kids at school hated me," Elon continued. His voice was distant, like he was talking about someone else. "They beat me up, called me names. One time they pushed me down a flight of stairs. I was in the hospital for 2 weeks." "I'm sorry," Patricia whispered. "My mother worked all the time, she had to, so after school I'd go to Hendrika's community center. It was just a small building, old, rundown, but to me it was safe." His voice softened. "Hendrika had a library, maybe 200 books, science fiction, science textbooks, programming manuals. She let me read anything I wanted." He smiled slightly at the memory. "She had a daughter, Annalie, same age as me. We'd sit in that library for hours reading, talking about space, about stars, about building things that mattered." "She sounds like a wonderful person," Patricia said. She was one of the only people besides my mother who believed in me, who didn't think I was crazy when I talked about building rockets or changing the world." Elon's smile faded. "Before I left South Africa for Canada, I made Hendrika a promise. I was 18 years old, standing in her community center one last time. I promised her that someday, when I had money, I'd come back. I'd build her a proper library, a proper science center, a place where kids like me could feel safe." Patricia understood now. "But you never went back." "No," the word was heavy with guilt. "I went to university, started companies, sold them, started new ones, made billions of dollars, changed industries, built electric cars and reusable rockets. But I never went back to Pretoria. I never kept my promise to Hendrika." He held up the letter again. "My mother's wish. She wants me to find Hendrika. She wants me to complete the promise I made 20 years ago. Before she dies, she wants to know that I haven't forgotten where I came from." "That seems," Patricia searched for the right word, "beautiful, important." "It's impossible," Elon said flatly. "I don't even know if Hendrika is still alive. She was in her 50s when I knew her. That was 34 years ago. She could be dead. She could have moved. The community center is probably gone by now. Have you tried to find her?" Elon looked down at his phone. "I've been making calls for the past 2 hours. my assistants, my security team, private investigators in South Africa. Everyone is trying to locate her. And they found the community center, or what's left of it. It's been abandoned since 2008. The building is falling apart. The neighborhood has gotten rough. Poverty, crime, everything Hendrika tried to protect us from has gotten worse. Patricia heard the pain in his voice. Did they find Hendrika? Elon nodded slowly. She's alive. She's 81 years old now. She lives in a care facility in Johannesburg, a place called Morningside Care Home. That's good news, isn't it? She has Alzheimer's disease. Elon's voice cracked. She's had it for 5 years. She barely remembers her own daughter. She won't remember me. She won't remember the promise I made. She won't even understand why I'm there. Tears fell down his face again. Don't you see? My mother's wish is impossible. Even if I go to South Africa, even if I build the most amazing library and science center in the world, Hendrika won't know. She won't remember the scared kid who needed her help. She won't remember that she saved my life just by being kind. Patricia reached out and touched his hand. Maybe that's not the point. Elon looked at her, confused. Maybe your mother's wish isn't about Hendrika remembering you, Patricia said softly. Maybe it's about you remembering Hendrika, remembering who you were, remembering that before you were the Elon Musk who builds rockets, you were just a scared kid who needed kindness. Elon stared at her. Something shifted in his expression. Maybe, Patricia continued, your mother wants you to honor Hendrika not because she'll know, but because it's the right thing to do, because kindness should be repaid even when no one is watching, even when no one will remember. The chapel fell silent except for the soft hum of the building's ventilation system. Elon wiped his eyes. He looked at the letter again, reading his mother's shaky handwriting. Patricia couldn't see all the words, but she caught a few. Remember where you came from. Kindness matters more than success. The boy who made a promise. I have to go, Elon said suddenly. Go where? To South Africa, to Johannesburg, to see Hendrika. He stood up, suddenly energized despite the exhaustion in his face. My mother's surgery is at 6 a.m. That's in 3 hours and 26 minutes. The surgery will take about 6 hours. If I leave now, I can fly to South Africa, see Hendrika, and be back before my mother wakes up. Patricia stood too. Mr. Musk, that's how far is South Africa? About 8,000 miles, 16 hours on my plane. He was already pulling out his phone, making calculations. If I leave now, I land in Johannesburg around 7 p.m. local time tomorrow. I see Hendrika. I start arrangements for the community center. Then I fly back. I can be here by the time Mom wakes up from surgery. That's cutting it very close, Patricia warned. I know, but I have to try. My mother is risking her life on an operating table in a few hours. The least I can do is risk a tight schedule to honor her wish. His face was determined now. The tears were gone. The CEO was back. He started walking toward the chapel door, then stopped. He turned back to Patricia. Thank you, he said, for finding me, for listening, for understanding. Mr. Musk, what if something goes wrong? What if the surgery doesn't go well and you're halfway across the world? Elon's face went pale. The thought clearly terrified him, but he shook his head. My mother spent her whole life putting us first, sacrificing what she wanted for what we needed. For once, I'm going to do what she wants, even if it scares me, even if it's hard. He pulled out his phone and started making calls as he walked. Patricia followed him back to the ICU. Kimball and Tosca were asleep on couches in the waiting room. Elon gently shook them awake. I have to leave, he told them. I'll be back before Mom wakes up, I promise. Leave? Where are you going? Tosca asked, confused and half asleep. To keep a promise I made a long time ago. He showed them the letter. As his siblings read it, Patricia saw their expressions change from confusion to understanding to worry. Elon, that's crazy, Kimball said. What if Mom needs you? She needs me to do this more than she needs me to sit here worrying. Elon hugged both of them. If anything happens, call me immediately. I'll turn the plane around, but I have to try. He looked through the window at his mother's room. May was sleeping, machines beeping steadily around her. I love you, Mom, he whispered. I'm going to make you proud, not as a CEO or an engineer, as your son. Then Elon Musk, the man who built an empire, walked to the elevator and disappeared behind the closing doors. Patricia checked her watch, 3:17 a.m. In 2 hours and 43 minutes, May would go into surgery, and her son was flying to the other side of the world to honor a wish she might never know he fulfilled. Patricia said a silent prayer for May, for Elon, for Hendrika, for impossible wishes and the people brave enough to try. Patricia stood at the window of room 7142 watching the pre-dawn darkness. It was 5:47 a.m. on October 18th. In 13 minutes they would take May to surgery. Her phone buzzed, a text message from an unknown number. "This is Elon, just landed in Johannesburg. How is she?" Patricia typed back quickly, "Stable, being prepped for surgery now." 3 dots appeared. Then, "Tell her I'm keeping my promise. Tell her I love her." Patricia slipped her phone into her pocket and entered May's room. The older woman was awake, her eyes bright despite the fear Patricia knew she must be feeling. "Mrs. Musk," Patricia said softly, taking her hand. "Your son wanted me to tell you something. He's keeping his promise. He's doing what you asked." May's eyes filled with tears. She squeezed Patricia's hand with surprising strength. Her mouth moved, trying to form words that wouldn't come, but her expression said everything. "Thank you. Tell him I'm proud. Tell him I love him. He'll be back before you wake up," Patricia promised, though she wasn't sure if that was true. Dr. Chen and his surgical team entered. "It's time," he said gently. As they wheeled May toward the operating room, Patricia watched until the bed disappeared around the corner. Then she pulled out her phone and followed the location Elon had shared with her. A small dot on a map of Johannesburg, South Africa. Moving. October 18th, 7:43 p.m., Johannesburg, South Africa. Elon's black SUV pulled up to Morningside Care Home. The building was small and clean, but clearly underfunded. Paint peeled from the window frames. The garden needed work. Elon sat in the back seat, staring at the building. He hadn't slept on the 16-hour flight. He'd spent the entire time making phone calls, sending emails, creating plans. His phone showed a video call from Kimball. He answered. "She's in surgery," Kimball said. His face looked tired and scared. "Has been for almost 2 hours now." "How's it going?" Elon asked. "We don't know yet. Dr. Chen said it would take 6 hours total. Tosca and I are just waiting." "I'll be back soon," Elon promised. "I just need to do this first." "I know, Mom would want you there. Go, do what you need to do." Elon ended the call and stepped out of the SUV. The Johannesburg evening air was warm and dry. It smelled like the Africa he remembered from childhood. Like home, even though he hadn't been here in decades. A woman was waiting by the entrance. She was in her early 50s with kind eyes and graying hair pulled back in a ponytail. She looked nervous. "Mr. Musk," she said, extending her hand. "I'm Annalie van der Merwe Richards. We spoke on the phone." Elon shook her hand and recognized her immediately, even after 34 years. "Annalie, I can't believe it's really you. I can't believe you're really here." Annalie's eyes filled with tears. "When your assistant called me in Perth yesterday, I thought it was some kind of scam. Elon Musk wanting to see my mother. It seemed impossible. I'm sorry I didn't come sooner. I'm sorry I forgot." "You didn't forget," Annalie said softly. "You were building the future. My mother always said you would do great things. She was right." She led him inside the care home. The hallway was clean but worn. They passed elderly residents in wheelchairs, some sleeping, some staring at televisions. "I need to prepare you," Annalie said, stopping outside a door marked Room 12. "My mother isn't the woman you remember. The Alzheimer's has taken so much. Most days she doesn't know who I am. She thinks I'm her sister who died 20 years ago, or a nurse, or a stranger." "Does she remember the community center?" Annalie shook her head. "She doesn't remember much of anything before about 1995. Everything earlier is just gone." Elon felt his heart sink. "So she won't remember me at all?" "Probably not, I'm sorry." "Don't be sorry, it's not your fault." Elon took a deep breath. "Can I see her?" Annalie opened the door. The room was small but filled with afternoon light. There were pictures on the walls, old photos of Annalie as a child, the community center in its better days, family gatherings. In a wheelchair by the window sat an elderly woman. She was thin and frail, her white hair wispy and soft. She wore a pink cardigan and stared out the window at the garden. "Mom," Annalie said gently, "you have a visitor." The woman didn't turn around. Elon walked slowly into the room. His chest felt tight. This was Hendrika van der Merwe, the woman who had saved him, the woman who had given a strange, bullied boy a safe place to hide, the woman who had believed in his impossible dreams. Now she was just a shell. The disease had stolen her memories, her personality, her very self. He knelt beside her wheelchair. "Mrs. van der Merwe, my name is Elon Musk. You probably don't remember me, but..." His voice caught. "How do you thank someone who can't remember what they did for you?" He tried again. 34 years ago, you ran a community center in Mamelodi. You had a library there. You let me spend hours reading your books. You gave me a safe place when nowhere else was safe." Hendrika turned her head slightly. Her eyes were distant, unfocused. She looked at Elon but didn't really see him. "You told me I wasn't crazy for wanting to build rockets," Elon continued, tears streaming down his face now. "You told me that dreamers change the world. You believed in me when no one else did, except my mother." He pulled out the letter May had written. "My mother is in surgery right now, thousands of miles away. She's fighting for her life. And her one wish, her one final wish, was for me to find you, to thank you, to complete the promise I made." Hendrika smiled vaguely, the kind of smile people give strangers who are being nice. Elon reached into his bag and pulled out an envelope. Inside were architectural plans, legal documents, and a photograph. "I'm building you a new community center," he said, spreading the plans on her lap even though he knew she couldn't understand. "In Mamelodi, where the old one used to be, it will have a library with 50,000 books, computer labs, science equipment. It will serve 2,000 children every year." He showed her the photograph, a rendering of the building. It was beautiful, modern, light and airy. It had a sign out front, the Hendrika van der Merwe Science and Community Center. "It's not enough," Elon said, his voice breaking. "It will never be enough to repay what you gave me, but it's all I can do." Annalie was crying now too, standing in the doorway. Hendrika looked down at the plans. Her fingers touched the paper. For a long moment she was silent. Then something changed in her eyes just for a second, a flicker of recognition, of memory, of something. "Elon," she whispered. Everyone froze. "Little Elon," Hendrika's voice was thin and confused, her eyes focused on his face. "You came back." Elon couldn't breathe. Yes, I came back." "The stars," Hendrika said softly. "You wanted the stars." "I remember, you told me I could reach them." Hendrika's hand reached out and touched his face, just for a moment. Then the clarity faded from her eyes. The fog returned. She looked confused again, uncertain. "Who are you?" she asked, but it didn't matter. For just one moment she had remembered. She had known. Elon stayed with Hendrika for exactly 1 hour. He couldn't spare more time. His mother's surgery would be ending soon, and he needed to get back to Los Angeles. Talked to Hendrika about the stars and rockets and dreams, even though she couldn't follow. He showed her pictures of SpaceX launches and Tesla cars. He told her about his mother, about his brother and sister, about the life he'd built since leaving South Africa. And Hendrika smiled and nodded, understanding nothing but seeming comfortable with this strange man who clearly cared about her. When it was time to leave, Elon stood. He kissed Hendrika's forehead. "Thank you," he whispered, "for everything. I won't forget again." Outside in the hallway, Annalie hugged him tightly. "Thank you for coming. Thank you for remembering her." "I have something for you too," Elon said. He handed her another envelope. "A trust fund for your mother's care. She'll have everything she needs for as long as she needs it. And when she's gone, the remaining funds go to you." Annalie started to protest, but Elon held up his hand. "Please, let me do this. Your mother gave me something priceless when I had nothing. This is nothing compared to that." "When does construction start on the center?" Annalie asked. 30 days. I've already bought the land, hired the architects. The best construction company in South Africa is on standby. It will take about 8 months to build." He pulled out his phone and showed her more pictures. "When it opens, I want you to run it, if you're willing to move back to South Africa." Annalie's mouth fell open. "Me, but I'm not qualified. I'm just a teacher in Perth." "You're Hendrika's daughter. That makes you more qualified than anyone. Think about it, no pressure." He checked his watch. 8:47 p.m. Johannesburg time. That meant it was 11:47 a.m. in Los Angeles. His mother's surgery should be almost done. I have to go, he said. My plane is waiting. Will you come back, Annalie asked, when the center opens? I'll be here, I promise, and this time I'll keep it. As Elon's SUV pulled away from Morningside Care Home, he looked back one last time. Through the window, he could see Hendrika in her wheelchair, still staring at the garden. She had forgotten him again. The moment of recognition was gone, lost in the fog of disease. But Elon would remember, for both of them. His phone rang. It was Kimball. Elon's heart stopped. Is she? She's out of surgery, Kimball said. It went well, really well. Dr. Chen says the next 24 hours are critical, but he's optimistic. Elon closed his eyes and let out a breath he didn't know he'd been holding. Thank God. Where are you? On my way to the airport. I'll be there in 16 hours. Hurry home, brother. Elon's Gulfstream G650ER took off from OR Tambo International Airport at 11:43 p.m. South African time. The cabin lights were dim. Elon sat alone, staring out at the lights of Johannesburg disappearing below. In his pocket was the photo from 1989. Teenage Elon, Annalie, and Hendrika standing in front of the old community center. Three people who had no idea what the future would bring. In his other pocket was his mother's letter, the impossible wish. It wasn't impossible after all, but Elon couldn't sleep on the flight home. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw his mother on the operating table. He saw Hendrika's confused face. He saw the gap between who he was and who he wanted to be. At 4:23 a.m. Los Angeles time, his phone lit up with a message from Patricia. Your mother is stable, awake briefly, asking for you. Elon typed back immediately, landing in 4 hours, tell her I'm coming, tell her I did it. He stared out the window at the darkness below. Somewhere down there, the Atlantic Ocean stretched for thousands of miles. He was racing time itself. His phone rang. It was a number from South Africa. He answered. Mr. Musk, this is David Cumulo. I'm the architect you hired for the community center project. Yes, David, is everything all right? More than all right, sir. I wanted to update you. We've started the preliminary work, but I need to run something by you. There was excitement in David's voice. When I went to survey the old community center site this morning, I met some of the local residents. Word has spread fast about what you're building. And there are 47 children who used to use the old center before it closed in 2008. They're teenagers now, young adults. They heard you were Hendrika's student, that you made her a promise. They want to help build the center, Mr. Musk, as volunteers. They said Hendrika helped raise them too, and they want to give back. Elon felt emotion catch in his throat. Let them help, pay them fair wages. This is their community. They should be part of building it. There's something else, David continued. One of the elders, a man named Solomon Nkosi, told me a story. He said in 1989, a skinny white kid with big glasses used to walk through Mamelodi to get to Hendrika's center. The other kids would threaten him, but Hendrika made everyone promise to leave him alone. She said that boy was going to change the world someday, and Mamelodi would be proud to say they knew him. Elon closed his eyes. He remembered those walks, the fear, the kids who shouted at him, and he remembered Hendrika standing on the center steps, arms crossed, glaring at anyone who came too close. Solomon wants to know if that skinny kid was you, David said. It was me, Elon admitted. Tell Solomon I remember. Tell him Hendrika was right to protect me. And tell him that Mamelodi raised me as much as my mother did. After the call ended, Elon made another decision. He opened his laptop and started typing an email to his assistant in Austin. Clear my schedule for the next 6 months. I'm taking a leave of absence from Tesla and SpaceX effective immediately. Kimball will cover Tesla. Gwyn will handle SpaceX operations. I'll be available for emergencies only. I have something more important to do. His finger hovered over the send button. 6 months away from the companies he'd built. 6 months without checking production numbers or rocket tests. 6 months of just being present. His mother's words from the letter echoed in his mind. Success isn't measured in market caps or Mars missions. It's measured in kept promises and moments of presence. He hit send. October 18, 2023, 6:22 p.m., Los Angeles. Elon's plane touched down at Van Nuys Airport exactly 16 hours after leaving Johannesburg. A helicopter was waiting on the tarmac. He'd arranged it during the flight. The helicopter lifted off immediately, racing towards Cedars-Sinai Medical Center. Through the window, Elon watched Los Angeles spread out below. Millions of people, millions of lives, all connected in ways they didn't even realize. He thought about Hendrika and her care home. She would never know what she'd started. She would never understand that her small act of kindness, letting a strange boy read her books, had changed everything. But that was okay. Kindness didn't need witnesses. It didn't need applause. It just needed to happen. The helicopter landed on the hospital's rooftop helipad at 6:47 p.m. Elon jumped out before the blades even stopped spinning. He ran to the stairwell, taking steps 2 at a time. 7th floor, ICU, room 7142. He burst through the stairwell door, breathing hard. Patricia was at the nurse's station. When she saw him, she smiled with relief. "You made it." "How is she?" "Strong, incredibly strong. Dr. Chen says the surgery was a complete success. They relieved all the pressure. Her vitals are excellent." "Can I see her?" "She's awake. She's been asking for you." Elon walked quickly to his mother's room. Kimball and Tosca were inside, sitting on either side of the bed. When they saw him, they both smiled. "You look terrible," Kimball said. 32 hours without sleep," Elon replied. "Totally worth it." He approached the bed. May looked small and fragile under the white hospital blankets, but her eyes were clear, alert, more alive than they'd been before the surgery. "Mom," Elon said, his voice breaking. He took her hand. May's mouth moved. The words came slowly, still slurred from the stroke, but clearer than before. "You went." "I went. I saw Hendrika. I'm building the center, Mom, just like I promised her." Tears rolled down May's cheeks. Her hand squeezed his. Proud, so proud. "I have something to show you." Elon pulled out his phone and showed her pictures. The care home, Hendrika in her wheelchair, the architectural plans for the new center. "It's going to be beautiful, Mom. 50,000 books, computer labs, science rooms, everything those kids need." May smiled. It was crooked because of the stroke, but it was genuine, full of love. Tosca leaned forward. "Tell her the rest, Elon." Elon looked at his siblings, then back at his mother. "I'm taking 6 months off, from Tesla, from SpaceX, from everything. I'm going to South Africa to oversee the construction myself, to be there when it opens, to teach coding to the kids just like Hendrika let me learn." May's eyes went wide. She tried to speak, but the words wouldn't come fast enough. "I know what you're thinking," Elon said. "What about the companies? What about Mars? What about all the work?" He held up the letter she'd written. "But you taught me something, Mom. You reminded me that the most important work isn't always the most visible. Sometimes the most important thing is just showing up, being present, keeping promises." Kimball put his hand on Elon's shoulder. "We're proud of you, brother." "There's more," Elon said. He looked at his mother. "I'm creating a foundation, the May Musk Foundation for Forgotten Promises. $100 million to start. Every year we'll find people like Hendrika, teachers, mentors, community leaders who changed lives but were forgotten, and will help complete the promises that success left behind." May started crying harder now. Happy tears. Proud tears. Patricia watched from the doorway. This was the moment she'd hoped for. A son understanding his mother's gift. Not the gift of money or fame, but the gift of perspective, of humanity. "Mom," Elon said softly, "your wish wasn't really about Hendrika, was it?" May managed to shake her head slightly. "It was about reminding me who I am, not what I've built, but who built me." He kissed her forehead. "Thank you for the wish, for everything, for being the strongest person I've ever known." May's right hand reached up and touched his face. Her voice was barely a whisper, but clear enough. "My boy, my beautiful boy." The family stayed together in that room for hours. They didn't talk about Tesla or SpaceX or rockets. They talked about memories, about Toronto and Pretoria, about the tiny apartment and the 3 jobs, about science fairs and scraped knees and dreams that seemed impossible. They talked about a mother who sacrificed everything so her children could reach for the stars, and about a son who finally understood that the stars could wait. October 20, 2023, 3:47 p.m. 2 days later, Elon stood in his mother's hospital room with a camera. May was sitting up in bed now, doing better every day. Her speech was improving with therapy. Her smile was getting stronger. "Mom, I want to record something. Is that okay?" May nodded. Elon turned the camera to selfie mode, showing both of them in the frame. He took a deep breath and started speaking. "My name is Elon Musk. 2 days ago, my mother almost died. Before her surgery, she gave me a letter with one wish. She asked me to find a woman named Hendrika van der Merwe, who ran a community center in South Africa when I was a kid. She asked me to complete a promise I made 34 years ago." He paused, emotion thick in his voice. "I'm sharing this because I want people to understand something. Success isn't about how much money you make or how many companies you build. It's about the promises you keep. It's about the people who lifted you up and whether you remember to lift others the same way." He showed images on his phone, Hendrika, the old community center, the plans for the new one. The Hendrika van der Merwe Science and Community Center will open in 8 months. It will serve 2,000 children every year in Mamelodi, South Africa. But more than that, I'm starting a foundation to honor people like Hendrika everywhere. People who change lives quietly. People who give without expecting anything back. He turned the camera to show his mother. "This is May Musk. She raised 3 children alone. She worked 3 jobs so we could have computers and books. She never complained. She never gave up. She's the strongest person I've ever known. And her one wish wasn't for herself. It was for me to remember my humanity." Tears streamed down his face now. "Mom, I'm not going to forget again, I promise. Not the people who helped me, not where I came from, not what really matters." He ended the recording and posted it to X, formerly Twitter, with a simple caption. "Sometimes the most important mission is the one closest to home." Within minutes, the video had 1 million views. Within an hour, 10 million. By the end of the day, it was the most watched video on the internet. But Elon didn't care about the views or the likes or the comments. He cared about the woman in the hospital bed holding his hand, smiling through tears. "Proud," May said clearly. "So proud. I love you, Mom. Love you more." Outside the window, the sun was setting over Los Angeles. Tomorrow, May would start physical therapy. Next week, she'd go home. In a month, she'd be strong enough to travel. And in 8 months, she'd stand beside her son in Mamelodi, South Africa, cutting the ribbon on a community center named after the woman who had helped raise him. A promise kept, a wish fulfilled, a life remembered. Patricia knocked softly and entered with evening medications. She saw the family together, laughing now, sharing stories, being present with each other. This was why she became a nurse, not for the surgeries or the medical miracles, for moments like this, when families remembered what mattered, when love won, when impossible wishes became beautiful reality. But that moment was still in the future. Right now, Patricia stood in the pre-operation area at 6:47 a.m. on October 18th, watching the medical team prepare May for surgery. Elon was somewhere over the Atlantic Ocean, racing home, racing time. Dr. Chen checked the monitors one final time. "Mrs. Musk, we're ready. Do you have any questions?" May shook her head. Her eyes were calm, peaceful even, like she had already made peace with whatever would happen. Kimball held one of her hands. Tosca held the other. "Mom, you're going to be fine," Tosca whispered. "You're the strongest person we know." May managed a small smile. Her right hand squeezed Tosca's. Then she pointed at Patricia. Patricia stepped closer. "Yes, Mrs. Musk." May's eyes were intense, trying to communicate something important. Her mouth moved slowly. "Elon, did he go?" "Yes," Patricia said. "He went to South Africa. He's seeing Hendrika right now. He's keeping his promise." Relief flooded May's face. Fresh tears came, but they were happy tears. Her hand found Patricia's and squeezed it. The message was clear. "Thank you. Thank you for telling him. Thank you for being the messenger. He'll be back before you wake up," Patricia promised. "He's on his way home right now." Dr. Chen touched May's shoulder gently. "Mrs. Musk, it's time." The surgical team began wheeling the bed toward the operating room. Kimball and Tosca walked alongside as far as they were allowed. At the big double doors marked "Surgery Authorized Personnel Only," they had to stop. Kimball leaned down and kissed his mother's forehead. "I love you, Mom. We'll be right here waiting." Tosca was crying openly now. You've never given up on anything in your life. Don't start now. May's eyes moved between her two children. She couldn't speak, but her expression said everything. I love you. I'm proud of you. Thank you for being here. The doors swung open. The surgical team pushed the bed through. And just like that, May Musk disappeared into the operating room. The doors closed with a soft click. Kimball and Tosca stood frozen, staring at those closed doors. Patricia stood beside them, her hand on Tosca's shoulder. She's in the best hands possible, Patricia said softly. Dr. Santos has done this surgery hundreds of times. How long? Kimball asked, his voice tight. 6 hours, maybe a little less, maybe a little more. 6 hours. Kimball ran his hand through his hair. How do we wait for 6 hours? Patricia guided them to the surgical waiting room. It was a quiet space with comfortable chairs, magazines nobody ever read, and a coffee machine that made terrible coffee. They were the only ones there this early in the morning. Tosca sat down and immediately pulled out her phone. I should call Elon. Tell him she's in surgery. He knows, Kimball said. He's probably tracking every second. They sat in silence. Minutes felt like hours. The clock on the wall ticked loudly, each second a small eternity. Patricia brought them coffee they didn't drink and blankets they didn't use. She checked on them every 30 minutes, even though she had other patients to care for. Something about this family had touched her heart. At 8:15 a.m., Kimball finally spoke. Do you think he'll make it back in time? Elon, I don't know, Tosca admitted. That's a long flight, a lot can go wrong. He'll make it, Kimball said with certainty. He's never broken a promise to Mom. He's not going to start now. Another hour passed, then another. At 10:47 a.m., Patricia's phone buzzed. A text from Elon. How is she? Any updates? Patricia typed back. Still in surgery, everything proceeding normally. No complications so far. I'm over the Atlantic. 6 hours until landing. Tell Kimball and Tosca I'm coming. Patricia showed the siblings the message. Tosca smiled weakly. He's really doing this, flying to South Africa and back in one day. That's insane. That's Elon, Kimball said. When he commits to something, he doesn't do it halfway. At 11:30 a.m., a nurse came out to update them. The surgery is going very well. Dr. Santos is relieving the pressure now. Should be another 90 minutes. Relief washed over both siblings. At 12:47 p.m., the waiting room door opened. Dr. Chen stepped out, still in his surgical scrubs. His mask was pulled down around his neck. Kimball and Tosca jumped to their feet. Dr. Chen's face was tired but smiling. The surgery was a complete success. Tosca burst into tears. Kimball grabbed his sister and held her tight. We relieved all the pressure, Dr. Chen continued. There were no complications. Her brain is responding beautifully. She's being moved to recovery now. When can we see her? Kimball asked. She'll be unconscious for another few hours. The anesthesia needs to wear off, but her vitals are excellent, strong heart rate, good blood pressure. She's a fighter, your mother. We know, Tosca said through her tears. We know. Patricia felt her own eyes get wet. She had seen so many surgeries go wrong. So many families receive bad news in this waiting room. But not today. Today was a good day. There's something else, Dr. Chen said. In 30 years of doing this work, I've rarely seen someone with your mother's determination. Even under anesthesia, her heart rate stayed strong. It's like she was fighting to stay alive, fighting to see something or someone. Kimball and Tosca looked at each other. They knew what or who their mother was fighting for. She was waiting for Elon to come home. Patricia checked her phone. 12:53 p.m. Elon's plane would land in about 6 hours. He would make it. He would be here when May woke up. Can we sit with her? Tosca asked. Even if she's unconscious. Of course, Dr. Chen said. Follow me. They walked through the hospital corridors to the recovery wing. Room 7142 had been deep cleaned and prepared for May's return. When they wheeled her bed in, Kimball gasped softly. His mother looked small and pale but peaceful. The breathing tube had been removed. She was breathing on her own. Monitors beeped steadily. IV lines dripped clear fluids, but she was alive. She had survived. Kimball sat on one side of the bed, Tosca on the other. They each held one of her hands. You did it, Mom, Kimball whispered. You made it through. Elon's coming home, Tosca added. He went to see Hendrika just like you asked. He's keeping his promise, and he'll be here when you wake up." May didn't respond. She couldn't. The anesthesia held her in deep sleep, but Patricia could have sworn she saw the smallest smile on May's lips. Like even in sleep, she knew. She knew her son was coming home. She knew he had done what she asked. She knew her impossible wish was becoming real. The afternoon sunlight streamed through the window, painting everything in gold. Patricia quietly left the room, giving the family privacy. She walked back to the nurse's station and sat down. Her shift had started 16 hours ago. She should be exhausted, but she felt energized, hopeful. She thought about her own mother, gone 5 years now, about goodbyes that came too soon, about words left unsaid. But not today, not for this family. Today, a mother survived. A son kept a promise. A wish brought people together across oceans and years. Today, love won. Patricia looked at the clock, 1:34 p.m. In 5 hours, Elon Musk would walk through those elevator doors. And his mother would still be alive to see him. Sometimes impossible things became possible. Sometimes wishes came true. Sometimes the story had a happy ending. Patricia smiled and got back to work. There were still patients to care for, still families to help, still impossible wishes waiting to become beautiful reality. And she would be there for all of them, just like she had been there for the Musks, because that's what nurses do. They witness miracles, and sometimes they help make them happen. Patricia was at the nurse's station when the elevator doors opened at 6:47 p.m. Elon stepped out looking exhausted but determined. His eyes were red from lack of sleep. His clothes were rumpled, but he was here. Kimball and Tosca ran to him. The 3 siblings hugged tightly. "She's awake," Tosca said. "She woke up 20 minutes ago. She's asking for you." Elon closed his eyes in relief. Thank God, thank God. They walked together to room 7142. Patricia followed at a respectful distance. When Elon entered the room, May's eyes found him immediately. They filled with tears. Her right hand reached out weakly. Elon rushed to her bedside and took her hand in both of his. "Mom, I'm here. I'm so sorry I wasn't here for the surgery. I'm so sorry." May shook her head. The movement was small but clear. "Don't apologize," her mouth moved. The words came slowly, slurred but understandable. You saw her." "I did. I saw Hendrika. I kept the promise, Mom." Elon pulled out his phone and showed her pictures. "Look, this is her. She's in a good place, safe, cared for, and I'm building the center. Construction starts in 30 days. May smiled. It was crooked from the stroke but full of pride and love. "There's more," Elon said. "Can I read you something? Your full letter. I only read part of it before, but now I want to read all of it, with your permission." May nodded. Elon pulled the letter from his pocket. It was wrinkled now, stained with his tears from the chapel. He unfolded it carefully and began to read aloud. "My dearest Elon, if you're reading this, I may not have much time, so I need you to know, my one wish isn't for myself, it's for you." His voice caught, but he continued. "Find Hendrika van der Merwe, complete the promise you made, but more importantly, stay there. Spend time in that community. Remember what it feels like to be the boy who needed help, not the man who gives it from a distance." Kimball and Tosca moved closer, listening. "You've built rockets and cars and changed the world. I'm so proud. But I worry you've forgotten how to receive kindness, how to be present in small moments, how to let yourself be human." Elon's hand shook as he read. "My wish is that you remember, success isn't measured in market caps or Mars missions. It's measured in kept promises and moments of presence." He paused, wiping his eyes. "Before I die, I don't need you to achieve more. I need you to be more present, more kind, more like the boy who made an old woman a promise under a jacaranda tree in Pretoria." His voice broke completely now. "That boy is my greatest achievement, not the billionaire, the boy who cared. All my love, Mom." The room was silent except for quiet crying. Even Patricia, standing by the door, had tears streaming down her face. Elon folded the letter carefully and looked at his mother. "You were right, Mom, about everything. I built companies and rockets, but I forgot the most important things. I forgot to be present. I forgot the people who made me who I am." He took a deep breath. "So I'm doing something you might think is crazy." May's eyebrows raised questioningly. "I'm taking a leave of absence, 6 months, From Tesla and SpaceX, everything. Kimball's mouth dropped open. You already decided. I sent the email from the plane. It's done. Kimball will oversee Tesla operations. Gwynne Shotwell will handle SpaceX. I'll be available for emergencies only. Elon looked back at his mother. I'm going to South Africa for those 6 months. I'm going to personally oversee the construction of the Hendrika van der Merwe Center. And when it opens, I'm going to volunteer there, teach coding to kids, run science experiments, be present. May's tears flowed freely now. But that's not all, Elon continued. I'm creating something called the May Musk Foundation for Forgotten Promises. He showed her documents on his phone, legal papers, financial statements. $100 million to start. Every year, we'll ask people to nominate someone who changed their lives, a teacher, a mentor, a community leader, someone they never properly thanked, someone whose kindness they never repaid because life got busy and success got in the way. His voice grew stronger, more passionate. We'll pick 100 people every year, and we'll help complete those forgotten promises. If someone promised to help their old teacher but never did, we'll help them do it. If someone said they'd give back to their community but forgot, we'll help them remember. We'll honor the Hendrikas of the world, the quiet heroes, the forgotten kindnesses. Tosca was crying now too. Elon, that's beautiful. It's not enough, Elon said, looking at his mother. It will never be enough to thank you for everything you've done, but it's a start. May tried to speak. Patricia could see the frustration on her face as the words wouldn't come easily. Finally, slowly, she managed. Not about money. I know, Elon said softly. You wrote that in the letter. It's not about the money. It's about the time. It's about showing up. It's about being the person you raised me to be, not just the person the world thinks I am. He leaned closer to his mother. Mom, I need you to understand something. For years, I thought I was honoring you by being successful, by building companies, by achieving impossible things. I thought that's what you wanted for me to reach the stars. May shook her head slightly. But you never wanted the stars for me, did you? You wanted me to be kind, to remember where I came from, to stay human while reaching for the impossible. Elon's voice cracked. You wanted me to be that boy who cared about a promise made under a jacaranda tree, not the CEO, not the billionaire, just the boy with a good heart. Yes, May whispered clearly, yes. Patricia watched as Elon pulled out his phone. I made a video. I posted it while you were sleeping. I want to show you. He played the recording he'd made, the one explaining Hendrika, the community center, the foundation, the one where he talked about his mother and forgotten promises and what really matters. As May watched, her face transformed, pride, love, relief, all mixed together. When the video ended, Elon showed her the response. It has 20 million views already. But more importantly, we've received over 50,000 nominations. 50,000 people want to honor someone who changed their life. 50,000 forgotten promises waiting to be kept. He scrolled through messages on his phone, reading them aloud. My third-grade teacher, Mrs. Johnson, believed in me when no one else did. I promised to come back and thank her, but I never did. She died last year. Can the foundation honor her memory? A homeless man gave me his jacket when I was sleeping on the streets. I promised when I got back on my feet I'd help him. I never found him. Can you help me find him? My mother worked 3 jobs to put me through college. I promised I'd buy her a house. Then she got sick. Then she died. I never kept that promise. Can I keep it now in her memory? Elon's voice shook as he read. Do you see, Mom? Your one wish, your impossible wish, it's not just changing my life. It's changing thousands of lives. You've started something bigger than any rocket or car. You've reminded people what matters. May reached up with her right hand and touched Elon's face. Despite the stroke, despite the weakness, her touch was firm. Loving, proud, my boy, she whispered. My beautiful, good boy. Tosca captured a photo on her phone, Elon sitting on the hospital bed, holding his mother's hand, both of them looking at the construction plans for the community center. The afternoon light painted them in gold. Later, that photo would be posted online with the caption, "Sometimes the most important mission is the one closest to home." It would become one of the most shared images in internet history, not because it showed a billionaire, but because it showed a son. A son who learned what his mother had been trying to teach him all along. Kimball put his hand on Elon's shoulder. "We're proud of you, brother, not for the companies or the rockets, for this, for choosing mom, for choosing presence." "I should have chosen it sooner," Elon said quietly. "You chose it when it mattered most," Patricia said from the doorway. Everyone turned to look at her. "Your mother's wish wasn't about perfect timing. It was about remembering before it was too late. And you did. You remembered." May nodded emphatically, her eyes locked on Patricia. "Thank you," those eyes said. "Thank you for being the messenger. Thank you for making my son understand." Dr. Chen entered for his evening rounds. When he saw the family together, laughing now, planning now, being present with each other, he smiled. "Mrs. Musk, your recovery is remarkable. At this rate, you'll be going home in a week. You'll need physical therapy, speech therapy, but your prognosis is excellent." "When can she travel?" Elon asked. "I want her to come to South Africa with me when the center opens. Can she do that?" Dr. Chen considered. "In about 3 months, with proper medical clearance and support staff, I don't see why not." Elon turned to his mother. "What do you say, Mom? Will you come with me to Mamelodi? Will you help me cut the ribbon on the Hendrika van der Merwe Center? Will you meet the kids whose lives are going to change because of your wish?" May's smile was radiant. Even crooked, even weak, it was the most beautiful thing in that room. "Yes," she said clearly. "Yes, I'll come." Patricia stepped back out into the hallway, giving the family their moment. She leaned against the wall, overwhelmed by emotion. In 18 years of nursing, she had delivered countless messages. Good news and bad news, life-changing information and routine updates. But she had never delivered a message quite like May's wish. A wish that reminded a son of his humanity. A wish that started a foundation. A wish that changed not just one life but thousands. An impossible wish that became beautifully, unexpectedly real. She looked at her watch. Her shift had ended 3 hours ago, but she didn't want to leave, not yet. Not until she saw this family walk out of the hospital together, because some stories were worth staying for, some wishes were worth witnessing, and some moments, these perfect, beautiful human moments, were worth remembering forever. January 22, 2024, Mamelodi, Pretoria, South Africa. The morning sun rose over Mamelodi, painting the township in shades of orange and gold. Patricia Mendes stood outside the brand-new Hendrika van der Merwe Science and Community Center, still amazed that she was here. Elon had insisted. "You delivered the message that changed everything," he'd said 2 weeks ago. "You have to be here when we open the doors." So here she was, 7,000 miles from Los Angeles, watching as hundreds of people gathered for the opening ceremony. The building was magnificent, modern but warm. 3 stories of glass and brick, with solar panels on the roof and a beautiful garden surrounding it. The library visible through the windows held exactly 50,000 books, just as Elon had promised. Computer labs gleamed with new equipment. Science rooms waited for curious minds. And above the entrance, carved in stone, the Hendrika van der Merwe Science and Community Center, where dreams begin and promises are kept. Patricia saw Elon standing near the entrance, wearing simple jeans and a plain shirt. No expensive suit, no CEO uniform, just a man who had come home to keep a promise. Beside him, in a wheelchair but smiling brightly, sat May Musk. 3 months of intensive therapy had helped her regain much of her strength. Her speech was still slow but clearer every day. Her left arm had limited movement, but her spirit was completely restored. And next to May, in another wheelchair, sat Hendrika van der Merwe. Patricia had learned that Annelie brought her mother from Johannesburg yesterday. Today was one of Hendrika's good days. The Alzheimer's had granted her a window of clarity. She didn't remember everything, but she remembered enough. The crowd grew larger. Over 300 children from Mamelodi, dressed in their best clothes, waiting to see their new center. Parents and grandparents, community leaders, teachers. People who remembered the old center and people who would create memories in the new one. Solomon Nkosi, the elder who had protected young Elon all those years ago, stood at the front. He was 83 now, using a cane, but his eyes were sharp and proud. Annelie van der Merwe Richards stood beside Elon. She had accepted his offer to run the center. She'd moved back to South Africa with her husband and 2 children. "I'm coming home, Mom," she'd told Hendrika, "to finish what you started." At exactly 9:00 a.m., the ceremony began. A local choir sang, children's voices rising in perfect harmony. Patricia felt tears in her eyes before anyone even spoke. Elon stepped to the microphone. He looked different than he had 3 months ago in that Los Angeles hospital. Calmer, more present, more human. "Thank you all for being here," he began. His voice was steady but emotional. 34 years ago, I was a scared, bullied kid who found safety in a small community center not far from here. A woman named Hendrika van der Merwe let me sit in her library and read books about the stars. She told me I wasn't crazy for dreaming big. She made me believe I could reach those stars someday. He paused, looking at Hendrika in her wheelchair. Before I left South Africa, I made her a promise. I said that when I had money, I'd come back and build her a real library, a real science center, a place where other scared, strange kids could feel safe. His voice grew softer, but I forgot. Success came, and with it, I forgot the people who helped me get there. I forgot the promises. I forgot what mattered. He turned to his mother. Until my mother reminded me. 3 months ago, she had a stroke. She was dying, and her one wish, her only wish, was that I remember, that I come back here, that I keep the promise I made under a jacaranda tree when I was 18 years old. Elon walked over to May and took her hand. "Mom, you saved my life by reminding me how to live it. This center isn't just for Hendrika, it's for you. It's my promise to you that I'll never forget again, that I'll stay human while reaching for the stars." May squeezed his hand. "Proud," she said clearly enough for everyone to hear. "So proud." The crowd clapped, many wiping tears. Elon knelt beside Hendrika's wheelchair. "Mrs. van der Merwe, I'm sorry it took so long, but I'm here now. And I brought you something." Annalie wheeled her mother closer to the building. The large red ribbon stretched across the entrance. Elon placed scissors in Hendrika's shaking hands. "Will you help me open your center?" For a moment, Hendrika looked confused. Then something clicked. Recognition flashed in her eyes, brief but real. "The boy," she whispered. "The boy who loved the stars." "I'm still that boy," Elon said, tears streaming down his face. "Thanks to you." Together with Annalie guiding her mother's hands, they cut the ribbon. The crowd erupted in cheers. The doors opened. Children rushed inside, their excited voices echoing through the halls. Patricia watched them go, dozens of kids running to the library, to the computer labs, to the science rooms, their faces full of wonder, full of possibility. One small boy stopped at the entrance. He was maybe 12 years old, with big glasses and messy hair. He looked shy, awkward, different. Elon noticed him. He walked over and knelt down. "What's your name?" "Tandil," the boy said quietly. "Tandil Nkosi." "Solomon's grandson," Elon smiled. "I knew your grandfather when I was your age. He protected me when other kids were mean." Tandil's eyes widened. "You're really Elon Musk, the rocket man." "I'm really just a kid from Mamelodi who got lucky, who had people like your grandfather and Mrs. Hendrika believe in him." Elon put his hand on the boy's shoulder. "Do you like science?" Tandil nodded enthusiastically. "I want to build rockets like you. I want to go to Mars." Elon felt his heart squeeze. This was him, 34 years ago. The same dreams, the same awkwardness, the same desperate hope that the world was bigger than Mamelodi. "Then let me show you something," Elon said. He pulled out a piece of paper from his pocket, a drawing. It showed a rocket ship flying toward the stars, but its foundation was built on a community center, held up by dozens of small hands. "A boy gave this to me in my dreams," Elon lied kindly, remembering the outline he'd written. "He said he wanted to reach Mars, but first he wanted to help his community reach tomorrow. Do you know what that means?" Tandil thought carefully. "It means you can dream big, but you shouldn't forget home." "Exactly," Elon smiled. "Tandil, I'm going to make you a promise. If you work hard, if you study, if you never forget where you come from, I'll make sure you get the chance to chase both dreams, the stars and your home. Deal?" Tandil's face lit up like the sun. "Deal." They shook hands solemnly. Then Tandil ran inside to join the other children. Patricia walked over to Elon. "That was beautiful." "That was necessary," Elon corrected. "That's why I'm here. Not to be the famous billionaire who built a center, but to be present for kids like him, to be what Hendrika was for me." Solomon Nkosi approached, leaning on his cane. "That's my grandson. Good boy, smart like you were. Elon hugged the old man. Thank you for protecting me back then. I never properly thanked you. You just did, Solomon said, gesturing at the building. This is thanks enough for the whole community. The celebration continued for hours. Children explored every corner of the center. Parents thanked Elon with tears in their eyes. Teachers discussed lesson plans. The community came together in a way it hadn't in years. As the sun began to set, Patricia found herself in the library. She stood among 50,000 books, running her fingers along the spines, thinking about wishes and promises and the strange way life connects people across time and distance. May was there too, wheeled in by Tosca. She looked at the books with wonder. This is beautiful, May said slowly, everything I hoped for. You did this, Patricia told her. Your wish made all of this happen. May shook her head. No, my wish reminded him he did this, the boy I raised, the good boy. Elon entered the library with a small group of children, including Tandio. He was showing them books about space, about physics, about dreams that seemed impossible. Patricia watched him teach, his face animated and happy. This was the Elon Musk the world didn't usually see. Not the CEO making announcements, not the entrepreneur disrupting industries, just a teacher, a mentor, a man being present, just like Hendrika had been for him. The circle was complete. As darkness fell outside, the center's lights glowed warmly. Inside, children read books, parents talked with teachers. A community that had been forgotten was being remembered. And in the center of it all, three women sat together, May Musk, Hendrika van der Merwe, and Patricia Mendez. Three women who had delivered messages that changed everything. Hendrika had given a scared boy permission to dream. May had given a successful man permission to remember. And Patricia had carried the wish that brought it all together. Thank you, May said to Patricia, for everything, for calling, my son for delivering, my wish for being there. It was my honor, Patricia said honestly. Hendrika, in a moment of clarity, reached out and touched both their hands. We raised him, she said softly, all of us, different times, different ways, but we raised that good boy. And she was right. That evening, as Patricia prepared to fly back to Los Angeles, Elon pulled her aside. I have something for you, he said. He handed her an envelope. Inside was a check, enough money to pay off Patricia's house, her student loans, everything. Mr. Musk, I can't. You can and you will. His voice was firm but kind. You delivered the most important message of my life. You helped my mother when she needed it most. You witnessed a miracle and helped make it happen. Please, let me thank you. Patricia's hand shook. This is too much. It's not nearly enough, Elon smiled. But there's more. The May Musk Foundation wants to hire you as a consultant. We need someone who understands the human side of wishes and promises. Someone who knows how to deliver impossible messages. Will you help us? Patricia thought about her 18 years as a nurse, about all the messages she'd delivered, about the families she'd helped. This was a chance to do that on a bigger scale. Yes, she said, I'll help. That night on the plane back to Los Angeles, Patricia looked out the window at the lights of Johannesburg disappearing below. She thought about May's wish, about Elon's promise, about Hendrika's kindness, about Tandu's dreams. She thought about the impossible becoming possible, and she smiled, because she had witnessed something rare and beautiful, a moment when someone remembered what mattered, when success bowed to humanity, when a wish changed not just one life but thousands. Below in Mamelodi, the lights of the Hendrika van der Merwe Center still glowed. Inside, books waited to be read, computers waited to teach, science equipment waited for curious hands, and tomorrow 300 children would wake up knowing they had a place to dream, a place to learn, a place to be safe, all because a dying mother made a wish, all because a son remembered his promise, all because a nurse delivered a message, all because kindness once given creates circles that never end. And that was the end of this story. A mother's impossible wish, a son's beautifully unexpected response, a promise kept after 34 years, and a reminder that sometimes the most important mission isn't reaching for the stars, it's remembering the people who taught us to dream in the first place. We'd love to know, where are you listening from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Are you in Los Angeles, Johannesburg, London, Mumbai, or somewhere else entirely? Let us know. If this story touched your heart, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more emotionally powerful stories like this one. We share real-life inspired tales about kindness, redemption, and the moments that change everything. And most importantly, share this video with your friends and family. Send it to someone who needs a reminder about what truly matters. Share it with anyone who's forgotten a promise they once made. Spread this message of kindness and awareness because stories like these have the power to change lives. One share at a time, one promise at a time, one moment of remembering at a time. Thank you for being here. Until next time, remember, success is measured not in what you achieve, but in the promises you keep and the people you remember along the way.